Good morning and welcome to Daily Devotions with Pastor Joe. I'm Pastor Joe. Today we're looking at the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 6:16 through 18, where Jesus discusses fasting. And we've just been through, in the previous verses here, Jesus' personal model for the Lord's Prayer, talking about giving to the needy, giving your alms, the Lord's Prayer, how we ought to pray, and now fasting. And so two very important three now very important subjects to the Christian life, giving, prayer, and fasting. And so here discussing fasting, we've been talking about prayer, talking about the almsgiving, and he continues the same kind of concept and mindset here when he's trying to tell us how we ought to look at things, how we ought to address this issue within our own lives, talking about giving your alms, giving to the needy, he said, do it without allowing even your left hand to know what your right hand is doing. Don't do it in a way that's showy or for the sake of being seen by men, but instead do it to be seen by the Father in heaven. Here he continues, Matthew 6:16 says, Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites, of a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head, and wash thy face, that thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. And so a few thoughts here, a few things that we need to really consider when we're looking at this. First of all, are you even fasting? Jesus doesn't take the mindset of if you fast, he says when you fast. And to me, that's kind of an interesting concept here. Are you fasting? I know I don't do it nearly often enough, and it shows, but we need to fast. We really do need to pray and fast, giving up of our earthly desires and fulfillment of our earthly wants and even needs in order to draw closer to God in prayer is something that the church has practiced for a very long time, and it's something that we should continue to practice. Its groundwork for it is laid out throughout the New Testament, and we really do need to practice that idea of fasting. The word fast here means specifically to abstain from food for a period of time to replace it with prayer. And so fasting, as a general rule, is first and foremost to, skip a meal or to abstain from food of a certain kind or food for a period of time in order to replace that time we would be eating with prayer. So skipping out on lunch one day in order to take that half-hour or hour-long break to pray instead. That doesn't mean to just fast like we do for physical health, don't fast after midnight for a surgery the next day, or don't eat after midnight for a surgery the next day, or else don't eat during these periods of time, intermittent fasting to lose weight. No, that's not what Jesus is talking about. Jesus is talking about the practice of fasting from food for the sake of replacing it with prayer, with time with God. And so are we practicing that? I know when I was younger, I didn't eat breakfast much, but I wasn't fasting it. I wasn't replacing it with prayer. I was just not that interested in eating breakfast. I didn't like the breakfast foods when I was younger. That has changed. But if I would have taken that time to pray instead, while other people were eating, that would have been fasting the meal. So on top of just fasting full meals, we could also consider the idea or the concept of fasting just pleasurable things, such as, if you're into it, fasting from soda, fasting from candy, fasting from sweets, fasting from meat, abstaining from meat for a period of time, fasting from certain types of food that we really find pleasurable, abstaining from that. And no, that doesn't mean abstaining from things you don't like. That's not fasting. That's not giving some physical pleasure up in order to focus our minds on Christ. But like David and Daniel, actually, both fasted from pleasurable foods for a period of time. They kept they didn't allow anything pleasurable or good tasting to enter their mouth. They ate the basic necessities, the things that were good for them but didn't taste that special, and that was it. They didn't eat other special foods, snacks, and things of that sort. So there's different kinds of fasting, but When it comes to food, Jesus is assuming that you're going to be fasting from food at some point. So are you doing that? The second thing, as the hypocrites, don't be like them, who had a sad countenance, disfiguring their faces, appearing to men to fast. And that's one thing in our modern day. Our religious society and our world around us is all about what they can be seen doing. How can they be seen by men to be more holy or more special? And so don't trumpet it aloud and don't tell the world, look at me, I'm fasting. I'm doing such a great thing for God. I'm in a period of fasting right now. Don't do that. Instead, he's going to tell us what to do because they already have their reward. And when he says that, it's a scary thought because it means they have their only reward. The only thing that's going to be coming to them is that people will see that they're fasting. And that's not much of a reward for a fast. I mean, you abstain from food for 2 or 3 days, and people look at you and, wow, they must be holy. And that's it. That's all you get is the recognition that, oh, wow, they fasted. And somebody sees you. That's it. Not much of a reward. But instead, he says, when you fast, anoint your head, wash your face. Back in those days, there was a practice that you were not supposed to wash, and you were not supposed to anoint yourself with perfumes and oils. You weren't supposed to make yourself smell good. You were supposed to abstain from those things when you were abstaining from food, when you were fasting. Jesus said that's wrong. You've got it on its head. You're not supposed to live that way. Instead of that, do something different. Go ahead, wash yourself, make yourself look good. Fast. When you're done fasting, don't disfigure yourself. Don't make yourself look sad and like you're just beat up and you're so hungry and exhausted and you've been praying so long. Don't do that. Wash yourself, get some good cologne on or perfume, and get out there and do life. Continue. Don't let people know you're fasting. There's no point in the fast if it's for the sake of letting people know. Now, if people find out, no big deal. If people ask you, sure, no big deal. But trying to be seen is the heart attitude here that Jesus doesn't want us to deal with. He wants us to have a heart attitude that says, I'm not trying to be seen, but instead I want God to see me and only God to see me. He says that you appear not to men to fast. Look like you're not. Look like you're just normal, like nothing's going on, like there's nothing wrong in the world. But instead, under the Father which is in secret. So let your heart be the revelation of your fasting. Your heart reaching out to God and being seen by the Father. And when he sees in secret, he'll reward you openly. This is commonly the thing that Jesus tells us. Instead of being seen by men and rewarded by men in a select area for a select time, God the Father will reward you eternally for what you've done for him. He'll give you a reward that the whole world will be able to look and see, yes, he's been with God today, or she's been with God today. That's what we're really seeking after. And if you're taking the time for prayer and fasting, it is for the sake of being seen by God. It is for the sake of saying, God, I want to reach to you. I want to meet with you today. I want to have this need met, and I'm really getting serious about it. I want to focus on you. I'm going to abstain from some things that would be pleasurable for a little time in order to have some time with you that will be much more beneficial to my soul, to my eternity, and to the world around me. That's what the point and the purpose is of fasting. So, practice it. Let's do it. All right. Thanks for joining me for another Daily Devotions with Pastor Joe. God bless. I hope you have a wonderful day in the Lord. I'll see you later on another Daily Devotions with Pastor Joe.